You were not born weak. You were not made for mediocrity. Somewhere deep inside you, buried beneath layers of fear, failure, distraction, and delay, is the furnace of a disciplined mind. Not the kind of discipline that flinches in the face of temptation or folds under pressure, but the kind that can bend steel, the kind that reshapes fate itself. You weren't meant to drift. You were meant to drive. But to do that, you must confront the enemy that's lived in your shadow for far too long: doubt. Doubt is not just a whisper. It is a thief. It steals years. It poisons opportunity. It speaks your own voice in your own mind, telling you to wait, to question, to settle. And every time you let it win, you betray the part of you that was built to rise. Discipline is the antidote. It is the sword you forge when the world says no and you say go. It is what remains when motivation dies, when applause fades, when comfort calls you back into the smallness of who you used to be. Discipline does not care how you feel. It commands how you act. And that is its power. It makes kings of men and monuments out of habits. Andrew Carnegie didn't rise because he felt like it. He rose because he made rising a ritual. Edison didn't invent the light bulb by chasing sparks of inspiration. He buried himself in repetition, in failure, in the painful repetition of trial and error until the darkness gave way. And you must understand this. Without discipline, your dream is just a wish, floating in the wind, going nowhere. There is no success without structure. There is no greatness without order. The myth of chaos birthing genius is a lie for the lazy. What separates the elite from the average is not talent. It is traction. It is the ability to move forward when the mood is gone. It is waking up when no one is watching. It is working when the reward is invisible. Every empire is built brick by brick, not by force, but by faith in the unseen. That faith is discipline. It is the quiet fire that burns when the spotlight is off. And here's the truth no one wants to tell you. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they never developed the ability to keep going when it stops being exciting. Your habits are your hammer. Your routine is your chisel. Every day you act with discipline, you sculpt your identity into someone capable of enduring storms. And storms will come. Doubt loves storms. It waits for the winds. It waits for the cold. And just when you think you're about to break through, it whispers, "Are you sure?" Doubt never speaks loud. It doesn't need to. It knows most people don't have the spine to answer back. But you can. You must. And not with words, with work, with effort, with motion, with the relentless decision to keep pushing forward when everything inside you screams to stop. The modern world doesn't train discipline. It distracts from it. Every notification, every short-term thrill, every easy answer pulls you further from your edge. But no man who changed history was ever addicted to comfort. Lincoln forged his mind in books by firelight after long days of labor. Ford built machines after people told him he was mad. Disney sketched dreams in the shadows of bankruptcy. Discipline is what drove them through ridicule, through fatigue, through poverty, because they believed more in their vision than their current reality. That's what it means to destroy doubt. Not to silence it, but to outwork it. You must make discipline your religion. Not in superstition, in structure. You don't pray for results, you plan for them. You don't hope for breakthroughs, you build them. Every time you show up when you don't want to, you crack the armor of doubt. Every time you say yes to purpose and no to ease, you take ground. And let me be clear, discipline isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's not about controlling your life, it's about commanding it. Most people think freedom is doing what you want, but real freedom is doing what you must. Without excuse, without escape, without exception. You cannot wait for the right moment to become who you are. You must choose now. You must declare war on the version of you that keeps putting off greatness. That version that makes promises it never keeps. That delays dreams in the name of someday. Someday is the cemetery of potential. Someday is where visions go to die. But today is a battlefield. And you are armed with one weapon, choice. The choice to discipline your mind, to discipline your actions, to discipline your thoughts. Because what you think, you become. What you repeat, you believe. And what you believe, you live. There is no destiny without discipline. There is no transformation without tension. If you want the fire, you must strike the flint. If you want to fly, you must tear yourself from the ground. You don't get discipline by reading about it. You earn it. You sweat for it. You bleed for it in silence when no one applauds. And eventually, when the results come, when the doubt fades, when the dream manifests, you will not be surprised. Because you will know you built it. With your hands, with your habits, with your hunger. Discipline is not about denying yourself. It's about devoting yourself. It's not suppression, it's submission. To a higher aim, a deeper calling, a future that demands more of you than comfort ever will. Understand this. Every day, you are submitting to something. You are either bowing to distraction, laziness, and the temporary thrill of ease, or you are bowing to focus, mastery, and the long-term glory of becoming unstoppable. One path gives you now, the other gives you forever. One path feels good for a moment, the other makes you a legend. And legends are not born out of luck. They are carved out of consistent obedience to vision. Even when the body is tired, the mind is heavy, and the world offers every excuse to turn back. There's a version of you the world hasn't seen yet. A force, a presence, a fire that's only waiting for one thing: your decision to stop hesitating. Doubt is hesitation. Doubt is delay. And the longer you entertain it, the further your dream gets. But here's the raw truth. Doubt cannot stand in the face of action. It feeds on fear, not on movement. The moment you take action, the spell breaks. The fog lifts. The paralysis begins to fade. And that's the secret most people miss. They wait until they feel ready to move. But discipline doesn't wait. Discipline moves, even when fear is screaming, "Don't!" It steps into the storm and walks through it with open eyes. Because it knows the prize is on the other side. The world will not hand you success. It will not applaud your plans, your promises, or your potential. It will test you. It will challenge your resolve. It will present you with every distraction, every reason to quit, every temptation to settle. And discipline is your refusal. Discipline is your stand. It is your battle cry in a world of excuses. It says, "I will not bend. I will not break. I will not back down." And the more you act with discipline, the stronger that voice becomes. Not just in your mind, but in your blood. Until it's no longer a decision. It's who you are. Your mind is a garden. What you plant, you grow. And if you're not planting discipline, you are growing weeds. Doubt loves an undisciplined mind. It grows in chaos, in confusion, in the cracks of inconsistency. But a disciplined mind is a fortress. It is protected by routines, habits, and convictions so strong that doubt cannot enter. The greats, Hill, Carnegie, Tesla, Jobs, understood this. They were obsessed with structure, obsessed with execution. They weren't seduced by motivation. They were enslaved by their mission. They didn't ask, "How do I feel?" They asked, "What must be done?" Because they knew this. Emotions are fleeting, but principles are eternal. And if your life is built on feeling, you will sink with every wave. But if it's built on discipline, you will rise with the tide. And now the question comes for you. How much longer will you wait to become who you were meant to be? How many more mornings will you waste hitting snooze on your potential? How many dreams will you bury under the soil of hesitation, saying, "Not yet," when the fire inside you is screaming, "Now"? There are no reruns in this life. There are no second drafts. What you do today echoes into forever. Every hour you choose discipline over doubt, you stack bricks on the cathedral of your legacy. Every decision to move forward, to keep going, to grind when no one's watching, those are the moments history is made. Discipline is destiny in disguise. It doesn't show up in lightning or applause. It shows up in early mornings, late nights, and thousands of choices no one sees. It shows up in silence, in struggle, in solitude. But in time, it breaks through. It becomes your edge. It becomes your weapon. It becomes your freedom. Because when you master discipline, you master yourself. And when you master yourself, there is nothing in this world that can enslave you. The war you're fighting isn't out there. It's in here. It's not against enemies, it's against excuses. Not against weakness, but against wavering. Every single day you are in a battle with the voice that says, give up. And every time you silence it with action, with grit, with repetition, you win a piece of your soul back. You reclaim who you are, and eventually you become untouchable. Not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger. You build discipline the way mountains rise, layer by layer, pressure by pressure, time after time. And yes, it's slow. Yes, it's lonely. But that's what makes it unshakable. What's built fast breaks fast. But what's built with patience, with intention, with purpose, that is eternal. That is rare. That is real. The man who walks with discipline is the man who walks with fire. And not the kind that burns out, but the kind that ignites everything around him. So you must choose, not once, but every day, every hour, every breath. Choose the hard path. Choose the narrow road. Choose to rise when it's easier to rest. Choose to build when it's tempting to blame. Choose to show up when no one claps, no one calls, and no one cares. Because discipline does not need an audience. It only needs a decision. And once you decide, once you draw the line and say, no more delay, no more doubt, no more drifting, then the world begins to move around you. Because the world makes way for the man who has made up his mind. And once your mind is made up, truly made up, something in the universe bends toward you. Not in magic, not in mystery, but in momentum. The same laws that govern gravity, energy, and force begin to apply to you because your mind has become a force. A disciplined mind is magnetic. It draws order from chaos, strength from suffering, and progress from pain. And people begin to feel it. They won't always understand it, but they'll respect it. Because deep down, everyone knows the power of someone who won't quit. Someone who refuses to compromise with mediocrity. Someone who shows up when most would fold. That is what discipline makes of you. A presence, an influence, a storm in stillness. Doubt dies when faced with enough proof. But the only way to create that proof is through practice. Daily, relentless, unbreakable. You must become your own evidence. Not with words, but with your walk. Not with talk, but with traction. You don't need to convince the world. You need to convince yourself. And you do that every time you follow through. Every time you do the thing you said you would do, especially when it's hard, especially when no one would blame you for quitting, you reinforce a truth that begins to reshape your identity. You're not just disciplined. You become the kind of person who is. It becomes your nature. And that's when doubt loses its grip. Not because it disappears, but because it knows it can no longer deceive you. Doubt thrives in ambiguity. Clarity kills it. Discipline creates clarity. It gives your life a rhythm. It carves out time for thought, time for execution, time for rest. It replaces chaos with cadence. And once you have rhythm, you can dance through storms. You're no longer reacting. You're no longer drowning in distractions. You move with direction. You act with precision. You're no longer pulled by the tides of circumstance. You become the tide. Don't chase the feeling. Build the system. Feelings are visitors. They change with the weather. But systems stay. And if you build your discipline around what you feel like doing, you will forever be a prisoner to your moods. But if you build your life on what must be done, you will become a master of time, a sculptor of results, a weapon against waste. Discipline is your design manual for success. It turns wishful thinking into tactical execution. It transforms desire into delivery. You don't need more time, you need more focus. You don't need better luck, you need better systems. And those systems begin with the smallest decisions. What time you wake up, what you say yes to, what you refuse to tolerate, what you build your morning around. The greats don't stumble into greatness, they build it into their calendar. They eliminate the unnecessary, they subtract the average. They treat their energy like gold, because they know, where your time goes, your life follows. Every small act of discipline plants a seed of strength. You may not see the fruit today. You may not see it for weeks or months or even years. But that doesn't mean it's not working. Some of the strongest roots grow in silence, under the surface, far from the applause. And when the season is right, they erupt. So don't measure your discipline by how fast the results come. Measure it by how faithfully you water the ground. Measure it by how consistently you keep showing up to your purpose, even when the reward is invisible. Because in time, invisible becomes undeniable. Discipline also gives you freedom from yourself, from the worst parts of yourself, from the inner critic, the impulsive mind, the short-term thinker that would rather scroll, avoid, or escape. When you're disciplined, you don't ask permission to become great. You don't negotiate with your weakness. You don't entertain every feeling. You act in alignment with your higher self, even when your lower self kicks and screams. Discipline is how you lead yourself when your feelings want to lead you. It is the way you say, I am the master here. Not the urge, not the fear, not the doubt, not the fatigue. You. You must also be ruthless with the habits that do not serve you, the distractions that drain you, the excuses that disguise themselves as good reasons, the people who applaud your delay instead of your discipline. Protect your space like it's sacred, because it is. You're not just building success, you're building your soul, and everything that competes with that has to go. That doesn't mean you become harsh, it means you become holy about your purpose. Because every yes to the wrong thing is a no to your mission. And your mission is not optional, it's divine. You will be tempted to return to comfort, to ease, to what's familiar. But greatness does not dwell there. Comfort is where doubt waits, smiling, whispering. See? Wasn't this easier? But easier is not your standard. Elevation is. And every time you resist the pull of comfort and lean into the fire of growth, you become more. And becoming more. That's the point. That's the whole point. And becoming more is never accidental. It is not found in the echo chambers of convenience or in the soft glow of applause. It is found in the dark, in the hours when no one is watching, when the pressure is high and the reward is invisible. That's when discipline asks you the real question. Will you keep going, even when there's no promise of praise? Because the man who only moves when eyes are on him is still enslaved by validation. But the one who moves in silence, who chisels his character in solitude, who walks through fire without fanfare, that man is becoming unshakable. He is building not just success, but sovereignty. Sovereignty over the self is the ultimate freedom. Most are ruled by moods, by cravings, by the approval of the crowd. But discipline says, I answer to something higher. And once you've tasted that kind of power, true inner command, nothing else compares. The opinions of others lose their grip. The noise of the world fades into the background. Because you're no longer reacting, you're creating. You're no longer wishing, you're working. You don't hope for discipline, you harness it. You become it. And once you become it, everything changes. Not because the world suddenly becomes easy, but because you are no longer fragile. The fragile man needs the right environment to thrive. He needs everything just so. But the disciplined man creates strength in every environment. He is the same in rain or shine, in chaos or calm. Why? Because he does not draw his power from outside circumstances. He draws it from principle, from practice, from repetition. His excellence is not a mood, it's a method. His mindset is not a flicker, it's a furnace. And when others collapse under pressure, he comes alive. Because pressure is not his enemy. It is his proving ground. Think of every titan in history. Da Vinci, Franklin, Ford, Mandela, Roosevelt. They were not handed their legacy. They bled for it, sacrificed for it, rose for it when others stayed down. What made them giants was not genius. It was discipline. Genius without discipline is a meteor, bright for a moment, forgotten in the ashes. But discipline without genius? That's a slow-burning star. It rises day after day until it becomes a sun. Relentless, unstoppable, necessary. You want to be necessary. You want to be the one they count on, the one who shows up, the one who doesn't flinch when it gets hard. Because life will get hard. And when it does, the man who has trained his discipline will not be shaken. While others run, he rises. While others panic, he plans. While others drown in doubt, he walks on the waves of it. Not because he doesn't feel fear, but because he's trained himself to act through it. And that's the edge. That's what separates you from the masses. Discipline does not remove fear. It teaches you how to lead in its presence. It teaches you how to act when your hands shake, how to move when your mind screams, wait. It teaches you how to speak truth when silence is safer, how to rise early when sleep seduces, how to choose honor over ease. It makes you a leader, not of people first, but of yourself. And if you cannot lead yourself, you will never lead anything that matters. But here's the truth most will never tell you. Discipline will cost you. It will cost you your excuses, your laziness, your attachment to the mediocre. It will force you to outgrow relationships, habits, even identities that once felt comfortable. And that loss will feel like death. But what dies is the version of you that was never built for greatness. And what rises in its place is a warrior, a builder, a man on fire. You must be willing to burn what you've been to become what you're meant to be. That is the sacred transaction. That is the price. And once you pay it, once you cross that line, you'll realize something staggering. Everything you ever wanted was already inside you. Not in some future version of yourself. Not in some outside approval. But here. Now, in your choices. In your consistency. In your courage to keep walking when the path disappears. That is where destiny is forged. Not in fantasy, but in faithfulness. Because in the end, it's not the loudest man who wins. It's the most disciplined, not the most talented, not the most lucky, but the most relentless. The one who kept showing up. The one who trained when no one clapped. The one who planted when the soil was dry. The one who stayed focused when the world screamed distraction. That is the man the future belongs to. That is the man who becomes a monument long after his footsteps fade. You are that man, if you decide to be. So stand now, not as you were, but as who you choose to become. Let the voices of doubt fall silent beneath the weight of your decision. Let fear crumble beneath the steady rhythm of your action. Let the old you, the hesitant you, the unsure you, the someday you, be buried today, beneath the granite of your resolve. Because this is the hour of transformation. This is the moment where discipline meets destiny. Where your footsteps become prophecy. Where every act of focus, every repetition, every refusal to retreat begins to echo across time. You were not made to drift. You were made to dominate. Not through control of others, but through absolute command of yourself. You were built to rise, not once, but daily. Built to fall and get back up stronger. Built to carry vision through the storms that scatter most men into shadows. Discipline is how you carry the fire without letting the winds put it out. It is the bridge between your dreams and their manifestation. It is the law that governs the climb. There is no shortcut, no elevator, no cheat code. There is only up, step by step, choice by choice, hour by sacred hour. And when you begin to live this way, when you become the embodiment of your higher self in motion, people will notice. But more than that, they will follow. Not because you ask them to, but because discipline creates gravity. It pulls others into its orbit. It awakens something ancient in those who watch you. The voice in them that has long slept will stir, and they will say, if he can, why not me? That's how movements begin. Not in stadiums, but in silent hours. Not on stages, but in solitude. One disciplined soul, walking with unshakable intent. So let your life preach louder than your lips. Let your habits speak truths your voice never has to. Let your walk be your witness. Because you are not here to merely exist. You are here to lead, to build, to conquer the weaker version of yourself every single day until only greatness remains. Until the man in the mirror becomes the man of your vision. And when doubt knocks again, and it will, you won't cower. You won't retreat. You'll smile with the quiet confidence of a man who's forged his identity in fire. Because you'll know, you didn't get here by chance. You got here by choice. You got here by discipline. And discipline doesn't flinch in the face of fear. It stares it down. It walks through it. It wins. This is your calling. This is your time. Not next week, not when things feel better, not when the world finally understands you. Now, while your heart still beats, while your lungs still draw breath, while you still have the strength to choose. Do not waste this life waiting for the perfect moment. Make this moment perfect through relentless decision. You build discipline by becoming it. You destroy doubt by rising through it. You claim your future by earning it. One action, 1 hour, one unshakable day at a time. So rise, builder. Rise, warrior. Rise, disciplined soul. The world does not need more talkers. It needs more doers. It needs men of resolve, women of steel, souls of fire. It needs you. Not someday, but now. Let the world watch. Let the doubt scream. Let the storms rage. You have built something deeper. You have built something eternal. You have built discipline, and doubt is already dead.